வணக்கங்க. இன்னைக்கு கொஞ்சம் இந்த இம்போசிஷன் ஆஃப் ஹிந்தி அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு இதில வந்து கொஞ்சம் என்ன என்ன சொல்றது, மனசுல அது ஓடிக்கிட்டே இருந்ததுனால, அத ரிலேட்டடாவே தேடிட்டு இருந்தோம். அப்போ வந்து பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, கொஞ்சம் இந்த இவரோட இதுவும் இன்னும் ஒரு ஜெர்மனில பெரிய ஒரு லெவல்ல ஒரு ரிசர்ச் சென்டருக்கு இன்வெஸ்ட் பண்ணதும் டாபிக்ஸ் வந்தது. இன்னைக்கு 2, 3 ஷார்ட்ஸ் கூட இத பேஸ் பண்ணி தான் போட்டிருந்தது. இவரோடது வந்து மிஸ்டர் பிரையன் லைன்பாஃபோடது வந்து அ ஒரு அ நியூஸ் 18ஓட ஒரு இன்டர்வியூ கூட பார்த்தேன். சூப்பரா இருந்தது. இதில பேசுறது, வைக்கிறது எல்லாம். சரி உங்க கூட சேர்ந்து ஒரு ரியாக்ஷன் வீடியோ இது பண்ணுவோம் அப்படின்னு தான் இது பண்றேன். ஐ ஹோப் யூ ஆல் வில் என்ஜாய். இது பிடிச்சிருக்கும்னு நினைக்கிறேன். பார்க்கலாம் வாங்க.
Hello, this is Srinivasa Ramanujam from The Hindu, and today we have a very special person on the show. We have an American documentary filmmaker called Brian Linebaugh, who is right now taken a very interesting documentary on Tamils and Tamil culture. Hi, Brian.
Vanakkam.
Oh, you know Tamil?
Oh, தெரியுமே.
Right. Do you want to converse in?
அப்படியே நம்மால் ஹலோ பிரைன் அப்படிங்கிற வணக்கம் செந்தமிழ்ல ஓகே.
Tamil, or do you want to do the rest of the interview in English?
முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு நான் தமிழ் பேசுவேனே.
Oh, lovely, Sama. Brian, you're from the US, and you were born and you grew up in California in the US. At what stage did you hear your first Tamil word or phrase?
Right. So for me, my journey, I'm going to switch to English because my mother tongue, I'm more comfortable. But for me, my journey into Tamil studies actually started back in high school.
மதர் டங்கு இங்கிலீஷ். அவர் வந்து எம்ஏ தமிழ் படிச்சிருக்காரு இங்க.
ஹை ஸ்கூலில் படிக்கும்போது அங்கே நிறைய தமிழ் ஸ்டூடெண்ட்ஸ் இருந்தாங்க என்னோட கிளாஸில், இது அமெரிக்காவில். அவங்களுக்குள்ளேயே தமிழ் பேசுவாங்கல்ல, அவங்க பேசுறது கேட்ட உடனேயே எனக்கு ஏதோ என்னமோ ஒரு அட்ராக்ஷன் வந்தது. Like some people might take to guitar, some people might take to piano, or sports. They'll see some amazing soccer, football play, and they say, "Oh, I want to do that." But எனக்கு வந்து அந்த தமிழ் கேட்டோன்னே I want to do that. அது நான் படிக்கணும், அந்த மொழி நான் கற்றுக்கணுங்கிறது எனக்கு அந்த இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் வந்தது அப்போவே. அப்போலேருந்து முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் கிட்டேருந்து கொஞ்சம் கற்றுக்கிட்டு 4-5 புஸ்தகம் வாங்கி அந்த புக்ஸில் வந்துட்டு எவ்வளோ கற்றுக்க முடியும்?
42 lakhs per annum.
Wow, 42 lakhs, that's your salary?
Yes.
And what do you do?
I'm an AI tools and chat GPT expert.
All right, and what degree?
பேச கற்றுக்க முடியுமா?
No.
இல்லை. It became very clear. You can learn things like colors, கருப்பு, வெள்ளை, மஞ்சள், சிவப்பு, இந்த மாதிரி வார்த்தை, திங்கள், செவ்வாய், புதன். You improve your vocabulary from books. I mean, புஸ்தகம் படிக்கிறது முக்கியம் தான், இல்லைன்னு சொல்லலை. But the spoken language, you need immersion. You have to be in interacting with people in social situations. So then at that point, okay, if I want to learn the language, let's do something more radical. Let's go to India and see if I can learn the language. So at that point, I asked all my friends, if I was going to go to Tamil Nadu, where should I go to learn Tamil?
And they said Madurai.
Yes. Hands down, collectively, everybody said, you must go to Madurai to learn Tamil. It would be the best place for you to learn it, with the history of the Tamil Sangam. And just that regional dialect is a very sweet dialect to listen to. So at a very young age, packed my bags, alone, traveled 10,000 miles to Madurai, got down, and it was just a whole new world. I was just blown away by the experiences, the sounds, the smells, and the language, and the people. It was just an amazing experience. And I found a Tamil teacher.
Can you tell us more about that? Because I did learn that, I did understand that you did sit down with a Tamil teacher in Madurai and learned the language. How was that experience to, first learn verbally from him, from a native Tamil speaker, and get the nuances of the language?
Sure.
In one side of it. The other side of it, of course, explore the streets of Madurai,
Yes.
maybe bargain for some, vegetables, have some, parota probably. How did all that go?
It's exactly the approach that I took. So in a traditional Guru Sishya method, I stayed at his house. Every morning we would have our what I would call our theoretical practice.
Right.
So as if he was teaching a child. So I came with very little knowledge. I had to start from the letters themselves. You know, e, and with the right rounding of the lips, for example. So that was very important because in English, my mother tongue, the vowel duration doesn't matter, right? But in Tamil, very important. You can change the meaning by how long you hold the vowel, right? A good example is poi versus poi, right? Avan poi sonan, avan poi sonan. எவ்வளவு பெரிய வித்தியாசம், right? So that was that's a huge thing to try to get a handle on. So every morning with my teacher, I would have the practical training. But then every afternoon, that's where the real magic happened. So you go into the streets, try to mingle with people. I'm doing this all by myself. Just kind of wandering around. So I'll go, kadakadaya avanga poi இந்த வாழைப்பழம் எவ்வளோங்க, or in the local dialect, இந்த வாழைப்பழம் எம்பட்டுங்க. So முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு ஸ்ட்ரெச் பண்ணிட்டு நான் லோக்கல் டைலாக்ட் அவங்க பேசுற மாதிரியே கொஞ்சம் நான் முயற்சி பண்ணேன், ட்ரை பண்ணேன். ஒரு ஆட்டோ ஸ்டாண்டுக்கு போய் மதுரை மீனாட்சி அம்மன் கோயிலுக்கு போனோம்னாக்கா எவ்வளோ கேட்பீங்க? நான் எங்க போகல, அதே மாதிரி கடைக்கு போய் நான் எதுவுமே வாங்குறதில்ல. But just repeat the language and get the language patterns, and also to observe how people are speaking was critical to try to get to some level of competency. இது வரைக்கும் வந்து எனக்கு திருப்தி இல்லை. கொஞ்சம் திக்கி பேசுறேன், ஒரு மாதிரி தடுமாறி கொஞ்சம் கஷ்டப்பட்டு நான் இன்னும் நான் பேசுறேன். It's just difficult, a very difficult language. Right. But I will not give up, but I'll continue my Tamil studies to try to get to a higher level. So this was all spoken Tamil. My main interest was the spoken language at that time with my teacher in Madurai. Returning from Madurai to US, I wanted to learn the formal language. The inga vandu pesar Tamil, pecha Tamil. Inga vandu sen Tamil. So I was actually lucky enough to join UC Berkeley and study with the great Tamil professor George Hart and do my master's degree in Tamil literature and language. And that was just a fascinating. So for people who don't know the Tamil language, you need to learn sort of two variants of it. You can't just learn one, meaning there's a spoken and a formal. They're quite different. It's like learning two languages. It's a huge undertaking. So as a simple example, if you want to say like come here, inge varangal, okay, formal, right? Very, very formal. Inga vanga. So to a native speaker, not a big deal. And they kind of overlay, they're kind of similar. But for a foreigner to reproduce those two, it's almost like two different languages.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. And how was the experience? How was the reaction from the locals during this Madurai trips? Like today you have vlogs, you have a lot of people, of course, touring, Tamil Nadu and, speaking about its sights and sounds. But back when you were younger, much younger, and when you did all those streets, when you went to the streets in Madurai and started bargaining with, say maybe a takali seller, like a tomato seller. So how were their reactions?
Actually, it was funny. They really didn't care about the transaction. They were more curious about like, okay, who's this kid? Who's this white kid wandering the streets? And so, நீங்க எந்த ஊரு, எதுக்கு வந்திருக்கீங்க, என்ன பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கீங்க? So I think from both sides it was a good like cultural exchange of like I'm learning about them and their lifestyle and what they're trying to figure out me, why I'm there, trying to learn the language. And so it's just a really fantastic experience. It's just the people of Madurai, moreover, Tamil people everywhere. Just the one of the cultural aspects that always comes through is hospitality. Virundombo. Always or tea vechi kodukava. Saapringa. Saapradama pokudade. Ni saaptai avano. So it's always that even if you're a stranger, you'll be treated like family. And it's just truly amazing. We saw this in the making of the documentary film that I completed, Beyond Words: Stories from Tamil Landscapes. We interviewed over 200 people across 4 countries: India, Malaysia, Singapore, Sri Lanka. Everywhere, people were just so kind and took us in as their own, treated us like family. It's just truly amazing.
Interesting you go to the documentary because I was just getting there. At what point did you decide that this fascination with the language, with the culture, with the customs, the traditions, at what point did you think that, okay, this should translate to a visual documentary, and what were the challenges as you went along doing this documentary?
Sure. So for me, being a lover of the spoken language, I kind of wanted to create the resource that I never had. So நான் படிக்க ஆரம்பிக்கும் போது அவ்வளோ resources இல்லை. There was no internet. There was no YouTube. I couldn't look up Jaffna Tamil. You know, யாழ்ப்பாணத்துல எப்படி பேசுறாங்க, எப்படி கதைக்கிறாங்க, எப்படி கதைக்கணும். I couldn't look those things up, right? So after all the experience I've gained, and every time I came to Tamil Nadu, I was just so fascinated by the regional dialects. I thought, why don't we create a single film that can highlight the dialects of the different regions? Just that would be a great resource in 2024. What is the state of Tamil dialects? But basically across the world. That was the concept. So we began to shoot this film. We went by car, region to region, interviewing people. And then we went back and we looked over our footage, and we had a lot more than dialect. So what happens is the people we spoke to, their culture, the arts, the music, the dance, we got stories that were relating more to that than language. So then the purpose of the film sort of morphed into not just language, but let's highlight culture and arts. But the participants can tell these stories in the local dialect.
Super.
So you get both. You get that marriage of the team. You get the language and the culture, which are really sort of two sides of the same coin. And that's really the concept of the film.
Yeah, and you also showcased it at the recent Jaipur Film Festival. So how did that experience go, Brian?
It was amazing to see Beyond Words on the big screen. That was our world premiere, and we were very thrilled to have been nominated at the Jaipur International Film Festival. So right now we're in the film festival circuit. We anticipate being selected and screened at other film festivals globally. So stay tuned for news on that.
So how can other people watch it at some point of time? Because that's a question you will be being asked. Because the trailer is out and people are already curious to know what you filmed and how it's come out. So when and how can people watch it? What's the plan with respect to the film's release?
Sure. So for sure, everyone should check out the trailer. It's available now. It's on YouTube. Our handle is at Tamil Man Vasane. So anyone goes there, they can see our trailer, and they can see we're also cutting short cinematic films about Tamil culture as well. We'll be dropping those over the next several months as we finish the film festival circuit. But ideally, by the end of this year, what we're really aiming for, we're really trying to get a streaming deal for this documentary. We have really compelling footage I think people have not seen before and heard before with the dialects. And getting onto a streaming platform would really...
ரொம்ப பெருசா போறதுனால ரெண்டு வீடியோ கட் பண்ணிட்டு ரெக்கார்ட் பண்றேன்.